The LM27, first designed in 1972 by Palais Mortensen, was to me clearly influenced by a Colin Archer sail and lifeboat design. The moulds left Denmark and ended up in the UK, and Trident Marine carried on building them as the Scanyacht 290. Let's take a little look at my Scanyacht 290. She is designed as a wheelhouse sailing sloop. She has a bluff bow and a full hull and a rounded stern. A lot of this is for accommodation, but also buoyancy. She has a nice shear line in my eyes, and she has a nice drop from the bow down to her midships. The bow is quite high and shields mostly all of the cabin tops. The view from the wheelhouse, however, peers over the top of the cabin roof and clears the bow and giving you a good view. The Scanyacht also carries its forestay further forward than the LM to increase the sail area a bit. Also gives a nice place to carry the anchor. This arrangement has twin rollers, very useful I always think. The foredeck is uncluttered and gives you a real good space to work from when you're up front, or just to sit down and chill on a nice day. Alley framed windows and perspex roof as in the LM27 Mark II. The Mark I had rubber. The coach roof has two hatches, one either side, as the LM only had one. The guard wires are quite good. They come all the way up to your hip. When you're walking round, you've got a real good feel of confidence. The rubbing strake's made of rubber and overlips the butt joint of the hull to deck. A nice little touch the Scanyacht has is gates for access. There's 3 gates. There's one either side, port and starboard at the back, and there's a central gate in the middle there, which allows you to access to a ladder on the back, although my ladder's used for my wind vane. A silent transom as well. I particularly like the deck design. I'm at the stern, and I've got a wide deck at the stern and a wide walkway to walk all the way up to the bow. The narrowest point is here amidships, where you can still get an easy foot into the gap and carry on walking all the way up to the bow. This is one of my comfy spots. You bring a cushion or two up here. It's nice to sit up here when you're sailing or just enjoying a nice day at anchor. Easy to read here. But the real feature is being able to walk right round the boat, not having to cross a coach roof if you don't want to. And there's good handholds fitted as well. The wheelhouse handholds on top of the roof, they're really good when you come out of the wheelhouse and going back into it, and you know how important I think they are. And the rigging wires are based quite well as well, because you got one, then another one, and then another one, so they can stagger your hands as you go, which is always good because it means you've always got hold of something. The aft deck, though quite small, is usable in size for a lot of things. That's the gas locker, which takes it away and it drains overboard at the back. And it's got 2 cleats on it, on either side, 2 fair leads on it. This little devil here, that's a bilge pump full of water, but it's a bilge pump. The handle I leave in here, and a flagstaff holder. I have a separate flagstaff up there. This whole deck is easily accessible from the comfort of the cockpit, so it's not far away from you. The cockpit is designed to carry a cover the same height as the wheelhouse roof. That gives me standing headroom, and I'm 5'7½". You can just about lie down in the cockpit with the aid of this trotter box they stick in at the bottom of the berth. The berth itself's there. Cave lockers are either side of the berth. Fill them with as much junk as you can get in, I say. The lazarette, or aft locker, is quite a decent size, but I don't use it to its full potential because it houses my steering gear. The auto helm lives in there, and also the rudder shaft runs right through. This block of stainless steel here drops into this gap here if you want to connect the steering wheel up, which I've never done yet. It's sealed in here and has a good wooden floor, but there's a lot of fitted items like heater pipes and stuff like that, so I just don't overdo it in here. The lazarette door's well fat. It's because it houses the table, which can just flip out. And this table can be 1 or 2 tables. That's at its full length when you've opened it up. It's big enough for far too many people to sit round. Never have that many on the boat. I only ever use it at half the size. It's sufficient like that for what I need. The cockpit sole's self-draining and it has 2 lids on it, an aft lid and a forward lid. Engine access really. There's 2 low down port and starboard clip-on points. I think low down is better than high up. The port hand cockpit lockers are a really nice design. It's got 2 fastenings and it keeps the water out all the time. There's a little line up the top which I just put a little hook into the hash by, and that holds the lid up so you can do what you want in there. And the nice part of it is it's fully open now, and it's got a dinghy in there, it's got the legs in there, and anything long and awkward and of a big size can go into this sensible sized locker. On the starboard side, however, we have a different arrangement. It's a shallow lid, not a full lid all the way down to the cockpit sole like that one. So it's going to be a different layout on the inside. It's going to be sort of conventional. Again, no, I just put up to the hash by and that holds the lid up, which makes life a bit easy. And then I stow small items in there like fenders, ropes, bottles, fuels and things like that. It's not as accessible at all, and if you wanted to try and put an outboard motor or a dinghy in here, you would have a hell of a fight. The next really nice feature I've got is that of this bulkhead. It's a full bulkhead built in as part of the boat to keep the weather out of the boat. This again, I don't think the LM27 has this feature. Though I have seen some built up with wood in this area and doors in there in the Mark IIs. I'm not sure whether it was a factory feature or something that was added to them. In through the doors, through the companionway if you like, and into the wheelhouse, everything's made of teak. It's all good quality, well joined. Underneath the sink there's the standard kitchen cupboard where you keep your cleaning stuff, and on the opposite side is your first food section. That's the quick stuff, you know, the sauce, the tea bags, the biscuits. The fridge is under the sole where you would sit if you're in the helm position, and the bin sits at the back of that. Everything sort of has its place. There's the helm position, something that I think's designed wrong, but we never had one before, so we didn't know when we bought it. Now the chart table's fantastic. We love using the chart table there because it's got on the go all the way and you're still seeing. This is a handy little pull out here, a work surface, just when you need one. There is other work surfaces to pop out around the place, but they are useful. Another little handy place is sticking your chart junk in there. The cutlery drawer, it's tucked away around the side, but again, it's in a good place, it's accessible. They're all in accessible areas when you want them. This little pin here, and there's another one on the other side, you pull them out, and when you pull them out, you can just shove the cooker and it slides off down there out the way and disappears. This is so you can fit the port hand seat, the same as this one, the starboard hand seat. It's the match that goes on that side. The doors all have vent positions, so they all get left on this little hook when you're not using them, so that the boat breathes. The vent positions are quite sensible, they're just little hooks that stop things closing. Down here in the hanging locker, or the wet hanging locker this one is, because it drains straight to the bilge, so you can put some wet clothes in there if you want to. There's the seat, clipped away, which goes on the other side, the port hand seat. And here is another work surface, which goes on the other side. And behind that, there's a floor that can clip on at the other side. Everything's got a place to stow. Down there was another bilge pump, a manual one. Push buttons to secure everything. Washboard's easy to move, just a couple of bolts. But what washboards are when you take them out are the pains knocking around in your boat. Nobody wants a washboard knocking around in the boat. Well, we don't have one knocking around in the boat. We open the heads door and there's a little trunk fitted on the bottom of it, and the washboard just drops into the trunk. Like that, a little toggle comes down and she's there, fitted to the door. Forget about the washboard. The head's as neat and compact. Mirrors, hanging hooks, towel rails, lights the same as any other heads. She's a manual bowl. I do prefer that anyway. There's a cupboard there for all the little bits and pieces. Hot and cold running water, shower floor, and inside that cupboard there is a quite sensible housing for the sea corks. And there's a manual diaphragm here and handle kept here to discharge the holding tank should you want to at sea. Just outside the heads down the back, there's a little louver door which lifts out, and inside there you've got a seacock and a speed log, all in fast, easy, accessible places. Lift up the mats, wooden floors. In the wooden floors there's a number of sections that can be lifted out to access the bilge if you wanted to. You could get an extra additional water bladder down there if you wanted it. The port side has a short settee berth. It's only 5 foot long, but if you want a bit more length in it, there's a trotter box to stick your feet in the end. Now the trotter box got a nice little locker underneath it, which is quite hidden away. In fact, so hidden we've never bothered using it. We've got in the top on the port side, we've got 2 closed lockers of a decent size. You can fit quite a bit in them. Junk out the way as usual. And in the centre of that, there's a bookshelf. Well, it's got books on it. It's a bookshelf. Behind the seat backs, there's flip-down lids into other storage compartments. There's 2 on this side, but there's 3 on the opposite side. The cushions themselves just go on hooks to hang on and stay in place. And then under the berth cushion itself, there's locker lids for more storage again. There's another bilge access point just below the table, which is split into 2 halves. The starboard side has a very comfortable settee where you can really stretch out and be comfortable, and it also expands into a double berth should you want a double berth in the main saloon. Almost mimics the port side, as in it's got a bookshelf with 2 storage units, but there's an area in front of that we use for veg. The bulkhead here is quite a strange shape, and you have to watch you don't whack your head of getting up off the end of the settee. There's a door into the forward bedroom, and the door is like all the other doors. It has a vent hook on it so it can stay in the vented position. And there's plenty of access around the table while the table is in the leafs down position. The table is connected to the mast compression post and also fixed to the floor on the other end, so it never moves when you're sailing. And the leaves on the table are on hooks so they don't flap around while you're sailing. Headroom's really good. I'm 5'7½" and I've got that above me. My roof lining's all been replaced before I had the boat with tongue and groove, the plastic type. It's a good system, it's good insulation, it's easy to wipe. Table's cool, it's got a hole in it. Hey, we all need a bar, don't we? I think the table, when you expand the leaves though, I think it's way too big for the boat. And the size of that, you could sit 8 people round this if you wanted to. You'd never have 8 on a boat. This area here though is too tight to walk through, so there's only one way round when this leaf is up, and that's the long way round. The settee side. Going into the forward cabin, there's some good features in here I like. The first thing you'll notice if you know the LM27 is the beds are much higher in here. There's a good reason for that. There's a shoebox down there, and I think that's a fantastic little thing to have in a boat. And there's cupboards for storage at the back. The headlinings ain't that good in here. They need a bit of work. And there's 2 windows, one either side. Bookshelf for your books and a small wardrobe. You get a light at each side and nice bulkhead walls to lean back on and read your books. This is the small wardrobe you get. It's good enough to hang a dress up if you need to. Not that I bothered hanging my dresses up anymore. Putting the door back's easy. There's just a foot to locate in a little trough, and then you just lift it up and press into place and it clips. It's fine there. The other 2 cupboards in there are just press button drop downs. I keep towels in there. The windlass gear's in there, but the windlass is now manual instead of electric, but I'm leaving it there anyway. There's an ankle locker bulkhead here, but the ankle locker's sealed on the other side of it. There's a number of storage compartments in here, and they're quite high up. They're way above the waterline. There you go. It's a foot above the waterline, as is this side and this storage compartment here. There's a storage compartment on the side there, and I normally keep bedding there. There's also an infill in there, which can turn these 2 singles into a double. And same on the other side there, that one, I keep the life raft in and stuff like that. The reason the beds are so high in sealed compartments is they're collision bulkheads. So should you have a hole by hitting something in the water, then you should not sink. I don't think the LM27 has these features. Me only being 5'7.5" as well, I still have the luxury of standing headroom in here. There's a few more inches over my head. The door on the way out and all the woodwork all around it's all staying in teak, and it's all beautifully built and all beautifully put together. And thankfully nothing's coming apart at the moment. She's very well designed and very strong. Never having owned an LM27, I can't compare these features. Moving back into the main saloon, and under the floor in the bilge area you can see a well supported mast support. The woodwork itself of the floors changes with the angles of the boat, so that you don't lose any floor space to ugly GRP bits. There's so many little hidden compartments around the boat, it's unbelievable. Underneath the cooker there's a sensible one which houses all the utensils and the pots and pans. It's where you'd expect it to be, really. And they're all just lift up or open up with the push buttons in. There's a small one on the side of the floor there which gets you the filters for the water system should you need them. The galley itself consists of 3 taps. Down here there's a tiptoe tap, the type that you touch your foot and the water comes out. This one here, that one's salt water self-pumped, and this one's a pressurised hot and cold system. The central floor houses the house batteries, 2 153 vaters and the starting battery, all hiding away down there neatly. This brings you to the companionway step. Well, the easy access here is for the motor. There's access down here to the engine seacock on this side, the starboard side, and on the port side there's the main sink seacock and the saltwater seacock for the saltwater tap. And right down the centre at the bottom is the bilge, where all the bilge pipe or pumps for the bilge pipes going down to it. Some more great features is this cupboard here for engine spares, and this cupboard here for engine spares. The port side, where the galley seems to start at the top up there where we throw plates and things, there's a small shelf or a work surface at the back, but it's only enough to make tea and the likes. There is a work surface which covers the cooker here, but obviously then you're not using the cooker. And there's the board, which is the chopping board, which comes out of the work surface there and fits in over the sink there, which now permits you to do chopping and the likes and drain into the sink from vegetable cutting and the likes. Well, you still got the use of the work surface on the opposite side. Oh, and I love my dedicated switchboard with the picture of the boat on. Balance is important on a boat as well, and there's a filler there, and there's a filler there, and there's 2 tanks, and they both match each other, one either side, which keeps the boat stable when everything's filled. I have the luxury of in-mast reefing and wide spreaders, which help support the mast. I don't feel the boat's out of proportions in any way, shape or form. I look across the top of my coach roof to the boats next to me, and it's fairly much in height with other vessels. The spray hoods on other boats often far exceed that of the height of my wheelhouse. The height of the boat over the pontoon to the gunnel I think is quite a low angle. From the top part here where it runs against the deck across to my leg, it's only just hitting below the kneecap, so that the coach roof itself is cutting across to a gap somewhere around about the top of my thigh. So windage shouldn't be massive. And then when I look at the actual wheelhouse itself and I look at the spray hoods of the boats next to me, the spray hoods of the boat next to me are normally higher than the wheelhouse. So I feel like, although I can't drop a wheelhouse, it's pretty good. So why the Scanyacht version and not the LM27 version? Well, the answer's easy to me. The actual bulkhead to stop the weather entering the boat was actually inside the boat itself. So to me, the weather was already there. I find some had excellent conversions and had doors fitted to them and therefore moved the weather point further outside. I'm still sold by the neat GRP version that Scanyacht produced and its many additional features. It's a Category A ocean-going boat and it has no negative GZ curve, and not many boats can state that. She has 100% righting ability, just like a lifeboat, and this is a huge tick for me. So in the long run, is there any big differences between the LM27 and the Scanyacht 290? No, not really. There's modifications that can be done to an LM27 to turn it into a Scanyacht 290. It just lacks in a couple of fitments, that's all. If you're lazy, like me, and you want it all done for you, then go pick a Scanyacht. If you're quite capable and you want to do the alterations yourself, get yourself an LM27 and save yourself a few quid and enjoy doing the alterations. The end results will all be the same.